What's going on, Spurs fans, and welcome to another edition of the Hotspur live stream here on Stateside Footy. As Tottenham Hotspur will welcome the reigning Premier League champions Liverpool to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And of course, I got to be honest with you guys, it feels like it's an absolute must-win considering the opportunity that we absolutely dropped last week at the City Ground. And it was unfortunate too, because at that point Spurs had been unbeaten in 3, and it looked like they were starting to get on a roll against an opponent, on the road, which was absolutely winnable. And of course, they can't figure out how to get out of their own way. And so now all of a sudden it feels like Spurs are starting from square one, while Liverpool are unbeaten in their last 4. Essentially having 2, I guess you can say, shaky draws against Sunderland and Leeds, but then they rebounded with a nice victory over Inter Milan in the Champions League. And of course, last week, I believe they ended up beating Brighton 2-0. So from that standpoint, it feels like the things that have been plaguing Liverpool, it feels like they're kind of righted the ship a little bit. And of course, I believe they're sitting in 8th place now, 11 points above 11 points below the top. It feels like now there's going to be some momentum. And as far as I'm concerned, this is kind of a must-win for Tottenham Hotspur because of all the pressure that Thomas Frank has put on himself. Not to mention some of the things that he has said in his press conference that hasn't helped him to any degree. And now all of a sudden, there might be an extra added pressure considering that the board did give him the dreaded vote of confidence. It feels like the last thing that he can do is put himself in a position where he gets absolutely dummied versus Liverpool, and then they got to go to Selhurst Park, a place they haven't actually beaten Palace since 2020, and now all of a sudden you're going into the new year having lost 8 out of their last 10 or 9 out of the last 10. So from that standpoint, this almost feels like it has to be a must-win for Spurs. I want to welcome in Dan Davenport, who says, what's up? And then, of course, we have our defeat to Forest was really bad, and I think that Spurs might go for a keeper in the January window. I don't think so at all. Maybe if there is a deal that that comes to light. But that being said, no, I think that Vicario, I think any type of move for a keeper is probably going to be a summer window thing, just like the striker. Unless something drops into their lap, I just can't necessarily see it. But what I will say is that we're going to get into the lineup in just a second. But I was kind of hoping for a little bit of strength from Thomas Frank, and what do I mean by that? Jed Spence has a public, essentially a public meltdown in front of the manager on camera, on TV, and he goes right back in the lineup. Vicario, who's had more than his fair share of mistakes this year, he continues to get run out. And one of the things that I wanted to see was Thomas Frank actually draw a line in the sand and just say, listen, these are the expectations, and the displays, the mistakes are just not good enough. And I would have loved to seen a message delivered by Thomas Frank, but ultimately the lineups are out, no lines in the sand were made. To me, I don't know. I thought it would have shown. Me personally, I think it would have shown a sign of strength from Thomas Frank. That being said, I don't necessarily think that might be his strong suit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lineups. And it looks like to me, you guys let me know, you let me know differently, but to me, it looks like it's a 4-2-3-1. And it looks like, obviously, Vicario is in back. And to be honest with you, I actually wanted Vicario taken out of the starting lineup because that last week against Forest was not his first go round when it comes to mistakes, right? He has been routinely god awful when it comes to shots outside the box. Now, here's the thing: tactically speaking, yes, that plays into it. The fact that we are drawn so deep, and it puts the onus on other members to actually close down space to essentially take away the long shot out of the equation. And of course, that's not the case. And we saw it against Villa, we saw it against Forest, we saw it against Chelsea, we saw it against Arsenal. the shot from outside the 18-yard box is a Vicario bugaboo. He's good. He's good when it comes, when it comes to point blank saves, he's actually pretty good. But you have to be a well-rounded keeper, and there's certain aspects when it comes to a keeper that you absolutely have to be able to handle. And even when it comes to routine shots out of the box, he struggles with it. Well, whether that's positioning, whatever the case may be. And one of the biggest problems with this is that when you continue to give free passes, it makes a player comfortable understanding that regardless of what happens, he's going to be in the lineup every single week. And there's a lot of complacency. And the thing about it is a message has to be sent to that player by saying, you know what? Yeah, maybe I don't rate Kinski. Maybe I don't rate Kinski as much as I rate you, but you know what? He's going to start because at the very least, he shows up, he's responsible, and he's also pretty decent in training to the point where I'm just going to give him a run out. And if you want to get back, you're going to have to be better. That didn't happen. And so Vicario is obviously going to be in net today as well, too. That back four is going to be Spence off the left, and that's another guy that I thought maybe a message needed to be sent. Van de Ven, Romero, and then Pedro Porro out on the right. The double pivot of Archie Gray and Rodrigo Betancourt. The attacking four is going to be Xavi Simons on the left, but I have a big feeling he's going to invert a little bit. And he's not going to necessarily stay left all the time. Lucas Bergvall is lined up as a 10 with Mohamed Kudus off the right, and then Rando Kolomwani playing through the middle up top. And that's the thing is I actually like the fact that Kolomwani is playing up top. Me personally, I think he's the best striker that we have on the roster. And the more that you keep him out left and the more that you keep him playing wide and take him away from the goal, the worse that he's absolutely is. It's the same concept with Xavi Simons. Like these are the type of players that need to be played on the ball and allow their skill sets to take over. And so from that standpoint, Kolomwani is where he should be. And when it comes to Xavi, a big part of me thinks that Xavi is going to not necessarily stay left the entire time. It wouldn't surprise me if those two end up switching when it comes to the buildup. And sometimes you'll see him on the left. Most of the times you'll see him center, and those two will switch off from time to time because again, it's the exact same philosophy. Number one, Xavi's absolutely terrible on the left. He needs to actually kind of line up a little bit more on the right. But again, he's the type of player, again, that has to be, the ball has to get played onto his foot. And then you have to allow his skill set to take over. The farther away you keep Xavi from the goal, the worse off he's going to be. The other two that I had an issue with, number one is Rodrigo Betancourt. Me personally, I think Rodrigo Betancourt's last 3 or 4 matches have been absolutely shambolic. Me personally, there's an issue with confidence. There's an issue with whatever. And I don't think he's warranted continuous play. I know that there's some people that don't rate Paulinho because, he's not quick enough, whatever the case may be. Paulinho is our best midfielder, period. And that boy needs to be playing every single week, on top of the fact that he's also chipped in with 6 goals as well, too. But when you think of the fact that Gray is back in the lineup, which I actually liked, because one of the things you have to do with a young player is let them know that you have their back. And the best way to do and the best way to keep his confidence is throw him right back out. And I love the fact that he did that. But me personally, he needs to be playing with Paulinho, not Betancourt. And of course, Lucas Bergvall is also in the lineup as well too. And it feels like they need a little, rev in their engine in the midfield. And so I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But that being said, the same argument that I could have with Guillermo Vicario, it's the same issue that I have with Jet Spence. But we are underway here now at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it looks like Dan Davenport said Brandon Johnson, I think, will get sold in the window. I would agree, and we're not getting Antoine Semenyo. But as we progress here, and by the way, I will show you Liverpool starting 11 in just 1 second. Let's bring that up. And Liverpool is going with a 4-2-3-1 with Alisson in the net. Bradley, Kanate, Van Dijk, and Kirkez is their back four. Gravenbach and Jones in the midfield. And their attacking four is Slobosai off the right, McAllister and Verts on the left, and Ekatike up the middle for Liverpool. It's a very dangerous lineup. But it looks like this play is going to get played back, and it looks like Bradley will be there to corral it. As this ball now is going to be moved to the left-hand side, and there's Virgil van Dijk, Dutch center back, wizard. And it looks like Spurs are trying to apply pressure here as they make it out to Kirkez as he beats his man, which is Mohamed Kudus. And there's nowhere to go there, and so Kirkez is going to end up playing this back to the captain, Virgil van Dijk. And now they're going to try to play this forward, and they do right off the left-hand side. It looks like they played it down to Florian Wirtz, who plays one in. But it's going to be held in. And I think they're going to say offsides here. Yeah, to your point, if you can get 30 to 35 million for Brendan Johnson, you got to do it. From a Palace standpoint, that's a great move for Crystal Palace because, Oliver Glasner is going to find out multiple ways to use Brendan Johnson. Plus, it's a great environment for him. But as far as I'm concerned, those are the type of shrewd moves you have to make, especially if you're trying to be ambitious. You're going to need as many bullets in your gun as you absolutely can. And especially if you're trying to open up the bank for Antoine Semenyo, who I don't think is coming. As Spurs turn that over high, you're going to need that extra 30 to 35 million. Yeah. By the way, Brendan Johnson would be deadly at Bournemouth too. And especially if he's the replacement for Semenyo. You don't think Iriola's not going to be able to get the very best out of Brendan Johnson in the counter-attacking system? And it looks like it's going to be Jed Spence now who's going to be operating through the middle. Beats his man. Lays it off. It looks like it's Xavi. And he's going to lay this one off for Kudus. Kudus plays one in. Headed away. And it looks like there's going to be a whistle. And it looks like it's going to be Jones who's down. I absolutely hate that, and it does look like he is down. As they are absolutely waiting on to get that sorted out on the pitch. And there's Grandmaster Flash, former Newcastle striker Alexander Isak. And it looks like that was Hugo Ekatike that was down, and it looks like Ekatike is back up. And it looks like he's ready to go. As play resumes, so far Spurs are trying to be front-footed as that ball makes it all the way back to Kirk as that one is turned over high. Here's Kudus now. Kudus is going to slow his roll to Xavi, trying to play it off 1-2. That ball's going to get in. It's going to drop. Here's Kolo Muani. Ooh, and that gets deflected out as that ball landed perfectly to Randall Kolo Muani right there. As Xavi and Kudus were playing a 1-2, Kudus put one in, and it dropped right to Kolo Muani, but that was actually a good block right there by Connor Bradley. But so far, it's Spurs, man. Look at Spurs. So this will be a throw-in for Lucas Bergvall. And Spurs looks like they showed up today. We'll see exactly how this plays out, as it'll be a throw-in. And Bergvall will launch this into the box. That's going to be headed away right to Xavi. And Xavi's bad. Xavi has a bad touch right there. As that ball gets played out, Xavi miscalculated the distance between him and Lucas Bergvall. It was kind of a light touch right there. So that eventually goes out, and Liverpool will have possession here. Liverpool still a very dangerous team. You can't allow them to stretch, because once they figure out how to stretch the pitch and stretch your midfield, it is hell on wheels. As that ball gets thrown in right there, it's Gravenbach. And it looks like it's Romero who's just going to blast this one forward. And that's going to get out. I think that's going to get out for a goal kick right there. There's Dominic Slobosai. That dude scares the ever-living shit out of me. Slobosai is so good. I appreciate it, man. I hope you have a super Christmas yourself, my man. As play is resumed, as they're going to try to play this one from the back, that one gets away. But right there is Bradley. He makes the move, trying to play it forward. Headed away by Romero. Sloppy touch right there to that Xavi, and so now all of a sudden Liverpool will have possession down the right-hand side, as Slobosai will play it all the way back to Konate, who swings it around to the left-hand side. Here's Kirkes. And Kirkes will play it back to Van Dijk. And now they will try to play it forward. Good touch right there, as Liverpool is trying to work it through the center part of the pitch. And you'll lay this off to Bradley off the right-hand side. Good ball movement right here. His Slobosai. And you'll play it back to Van Dijk. And now they'll move it up the left. And there's a ball in, trying to find Verts. It was short. Nice little ball movement right there by Betancourt. Oh, and that was a good pass by Pedro Porro. But Xavi could not time it right there, as they were trying to work a 1-2 down the left-hand side. So Liverpool will have possession again. And Spurs will just let them play out of it, as there's a ball over the top. Oh, boy. As play is resumed. Wow. And here's Jed Spence. As that ball is going to take a deflection, that'll get out. As Christian Romero did a very good job of defending right there, as Konate played one forward. And it looked like it hit Ekitike. And I'm surprised there was no whistle, because Romero had his hand draped on the back. And that easily could have been misconstrued as a penalty right there, but no whistle. So good no call right there against Romero, as Ekitike ended up getting dumped anyway. As Spurs try to play out the pressure. Oh, bad. And, wonderful play right there. Again by Christian Romero to stop Hugo Ekitike, because he had a free run right there at Vicario, as he does a very good job to block out Ekitike. And now Spurs will hold possession, and it's Christian Romero, as they're just going to allow Romero to walk it up. And Porro now. And Porro is going to try to play one forward, and there's absolutely nobody there, as Spurs waste a possession. That made absolutely no sense. And here's Konate now. Good tap. That's going to go out. This is going to be a Spurs throw in off the left-hand side. It will be Jed Spence. And they will play this all the way back, and it's Van de Ven. As Spurs will reset back with Vicario. And here's Romero. And Romero's going to play it back, as Liverpool's bringing a little bit of pressure here, as that ball will sky, headed forward by Konate. And it's VDV who will head that out, so it'll be a Liverpool throw-in. As Liverpool, as we're 10 minutes in now, Liverpool has, I guess, claimed the bulk of the possession in the first 10 minutes. They've been maybe a tad more front-footed, but that being said, it's hard to discern 10 minutes worth of football. But right now, they seem to be the aggressor. As Spurs in the first 5 minutes did look like they were getting forward or wanted to, but since then, they've allowed Liverpool to get comfortable. And now here comes Liverpool. This is going to go down the right-hand side. Here's Bradley. He's going to try to play one in, as that'll take a ricochet off Pedro Porro. And that's going to get cleared by Betancourt out of the box, as Kudus is going to charge after McAllister, and they're going to say that's a foul on Kudus, as McAllister will hit the turf. Yeah, and I had a feeling that a whistle was going to get called there, because he just kind of came in with his shoulder. As Romero had something to say to the ref right there. But that being said, yeah, that was going to be an easy whistle right there. So this will be a free kick for Liverpool off the left-hand side, about 35 yards out. And it looks like it's going to be Slobosai to take this free kick. Spurs have to stay on. As that ball goes in, and it finds Van Dijk, but right at Vicario. Yeah, and they're going to call that one against Porro right there, as they tried to quickly play it out, but it looked like Porro kind of gapped. As we see it again, Slobosai just puts it right on the money. The only person there was Van Dijk. And he's trying to say that Mickey Van de Ven pushed him in the back. That wasn't that big of a push off. But Liverpool immediately win back another free kick. This time against Pedro Porro, this time a lot closer. We're talking from about 25 yards out. And Slobosai will put one in. Good defense right there. Here's Xavi. And now here's Kudus running down the right-hand side. Don't slow it down, Holmes. Don't slow it down. Here's Betancourt. And now they work to the left. Here's Jed Spence. As Spence will play it back to Romero. And this is where Spurs usually have their trouble. Trying to slow it down on the attacking half against good teams that know how to play defense. And of course, they get 0 runs. Here's Van de Ven. Yep, it's going to go back to Romero. Horseshoe football, ladies and gentlemen. As Romero will play it out to Xavi. Here's Colomwani, who drops deep. Plays it out to Kudus. Kudus 1v1 against Kirkez. Lays it off. Porro in. RKM. Gets on it, but it goes way wide. That's decent. That's decent movement as they're attacking Kirkez. And they got good positioning against Kanate right there. That's actually quite nice to see, as they are actually kind of attacking Liverpool's deficiencies here, as Allison tries to play one forward, and eventually it'll roll past, as Romero will play it off to Vicario, and Spurs will reset again. Good ball movement by Spurs the last time down, as Colomwani had to drop deep to make a touch, but was able to extend his run, as that ball's going to completely miss Xavi off the right-hand touchline by Pedro Porro. So that's going to get out for a Liverpool throw-in, as that ball gets played immediately back to Virgil van Dijk. Here's Gravenbach. As Jones will play it back to Gravenbach. Here's Kanate. As that ball gets played back to Allison, and immediately Spurs are going to try to pressure the ball. as Kanate will put one forward as Romero wins the battle, but it drops right to Slobosai. Oh, well done, Porro, as Porro kicks it forward. Right there is Caduce, who loses control. But they will work it forward. Here's Xavi. And that ball gets played back. As Liverpool is doing a good job of trying to press the ball here. That ball's going to try to get forward, and it hits Betancourt. Betancourt lays it off to Caduce. Caduce 1v1 against Virgil van Dijk. As that ball goes in, RKM, but what a weak hit by Betancourt, but good hustle right there by Spence, and it looked like that ball came right down to Betancourt's foot, and he just shanked it. As Jed Spence has to play it back, here's Betancourt, who was asking for the ball, and then immediately played it back to Romero. Here's Betancourt looking for something. As Gray will come in to try to make a touch. As he finds Xavi. Xavi turns. Kolo Muani plays it back. Here's Betancourt. Here's Xavi. It looked like Jones closed down the space there. Can somebody make a run? Here's Caduce. 1v1 against Kirkes. And Verts. Was that held in? No, it wasn't. That gets out. That was a bad pass right there. It's unfortunate because the Spurs looked like they were, about to find a very good piece of real estate right there. Unfortunately, a bad pass undoes them. As we're approaching the 18th minute now, as that ball's going to go forward, and Betancourt will play it all the way back to Vicario. Vicario will reset with Mickey Van de Ven. Here's Jed. As Jed looked like he was about to take off. It was all a ruse. This was played back to Van de Ven. And Vicario now will chip it off to the right as he finds Porro. And automatically that ball comes right back. Here's Romero. Good pass right here to Bergvall. Lays it forward to Jed Spence. He beats his... Oh, and they're going to whistle that against Jed Spence. Oh, that was a terrible call. As we see it again, it was a good pass. Spence gets on it. And it looks like Bradley just falls and gets the call. Oh, that was a horrible call right there. That was a horrible call. That was an absolute shambolic call right there by the ref. Bradley falls to the turf and gets the call. The Spurs win a throw in here off the left-hand side. I'll tell you what, through the first 20 minutes, Spurs, not terrible. Not terrible. Holding their own. And it looks like they are attacking Liverpool's deficiencies here. As that ball finds Romero. As Caduce will reset. Here's Bergvall, who's under pressure here. That's going to get out. As Bergvall dribbles it out, so this will be a Liverpool throw-in as Bradley will have the throw-in here. Spurs look okay, man. As that ball goes into Kanate, who immediately will play it over to Virgil van Dijk. VVD. Good play right there by Porro off the right-hand touchline to play it out. As it looked like McAllister was trying to push him past. As Liverpool now will be held with Kanate, who plays it to Gravenbach. As Liverpool will make their way past the halfway line, here's Jones. And he's got to play it back to Kanate. This isn't Liverpool football at all. This is an imposter set of tactics. That ball finds its way through, as Van de Ven does a very good job of closing it down. As Bradley will have the throw, and it looks like Gravenbach made a nice run down the right-hand side, as this will be a throw-in. That's a very good defense right there by Xavi, as they'll do it again. Here's Bradley, and that ball's going to take a deflection off of Jed Spence, so this will be a corner here for Liverpool in the 22nd minute. This will be a shame if Spurs concede here. As we are ready for this one, as it's going to be McAllister, as this ball gets whipped in, as it makes its way all the way to the backside of the box here off the left-hand side. Nice little win right there by Pedro Porro. Here's Bergvall, cuts in. Bergvall has to play it back, as Romero now will play one forward. Just a little too far forward, as it looked like Randall Colomwani had a run. As that gets out for a goal kick, so Liverpool will have possession here. Spurs defensively have looked absolutely solid through the middle of the park. They've done a good job of pressing. Haven't made life easy for Liverpool, as it finds its way all the way to Slobosai. Here's Bradley down the right-hand side. Closing down is Jed Spence. Here's Slobosai again. Finds the mid-run. And I think that was Jones, as that ball gets out. So this will be a throw-in, as Spurs do a good job to disrupt the forward progress of Liverpool. And now they're going to have to reset. And Virgil van Dijk will go to the middle. It's Gravenbach. And there's an errant pass right there as it goes all the way back and out for a goal kick. As they were trying to play through the middle of the park right there into the 18-yard box, Spurs close it up. The interesting thing is somebody asked me if this was the El Sacco. It would be interesting if Liverpool lost today, and what that would mean for a guy like Arne Slot. Ooh, Vicario. And that's got to go out. Oh, there you go. Vicario was under pressure. He had to sky it out. Good decision right there. It would be something if Liverpool lost today to a team that's struggling just, I guess in the same manner. It would be big for Spurs. Absolutely. But if Liverpool lost, considering the recent run, where they coughed up leads against Sunderland and Leeds, I still don't think that Slot gets sacked, but I think if there's anybody that is more likely to get sacked for a loss, it's probably Thomas Frank. Look at Lucas Bergvall. He's hustling. And now all of a sudden, Liverpool tries to play one long, but it only finds Vicario. It would be interesting to see exactly what that would do for the reputation of a dude like Arne Slot if he ends up losing to Spurs. Here's Betancourt. He's got to play it back to Vicario. Vicario plays it to VDB. There's just nobody there. Here's Jed. Ooh, nice little through the legs. And it frees Archie Gray. Archie Gray is going to try to make the switch. Here's Caduce. Off the half turn, plays it forward. Xavi lays it for him. As Caduce tried to take a shot from long range, but it finds Jed Spence off the deflection. Here's Spence trying to get around the corner. And he's going to lay it off to Archie. Plays it in. Here's Xavi. Xavi to the right-hand side. And that ball is going to take a deflection. And now Coral is just going to heave one up. Ooh! Oh, and ultimately it finds RKM, who just doesn't put enough off the header. As Pedro Porro put up an absolute prayer. And it finds Jed Spence, who heads it forward, and it finds Randall Colomwani, and he just doesn't get a good head on it. But here comes Spurs again, as Xavi will switch it to Pedro Porro. Here's VDV. Lays it all the way to Jed Spence. Spence is going to cut in. Tries to play it in. And now Liverpool will try to break. And it looks like Ekatike draws the foul. As we see it again. Yeah. That actually hit Colomwani right in the sweet spot. He just doesn't put a move on the ball, and Allison has no problem right there with that save. But again, Randall Colomwani is right there, sitting between the center backs, and is able to get a free header on. But here comes Liverpool. Wouldn't that be something if Florian Wirtz gets a goal today? Here's Kanate. Playing it down to Bradley off the right-hand touchline. And now it's Slobosai who's going to play this back. And it's Gravenbach and it's Virgil. As Kirkes has to play it back. As it is going to be the battle of attrition. It's going to be who's going to be able to get into. Oh, that's a nice little play right there. Oh, Xavi. Xavi tried to play it back off to Pedro Porro, just too heavy of a touch right there. So it goes back to Liverpool. But it really is a battle of attrition. It's two teams that are essentially playing the exact same style of football. It's, who's going to be able to make the better passes. Is going to be, it's like who's going to be able to isolate somebody to make a play, because both teams are playing horseshoe football. As Virgil van Dijk has to play it back. As is Virgil going to get the call? And now there's going to be a yellow? Dude, this referee is trash. As Xavi pressed. Oh, okay, yeah, he got spikes to the back. Okay, yeah, okay, never mind. I stand corrected. Xavi caught the back of the calf of Virgil. As we are 30 minutes in, both teams. Oh yeah. Oh wow. There's gonna be a VAR for a possible red card. Oh wow. I actually think the yellow is actually warranted here. I don't think this is red card territory, though. But if Spurs go down to 10, great googly moogly. As this thing will now go to VAR, so you probably can assume that Xavi's going to get the red. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. As we see it again, I maybe, but there's the foul. He gets, it's not like he was actually doing it on purpose, right? That's the whole thing. It's like if he was acting out of malice, like this is exactly what he was trying to do, then yeah, sure. It looks like his forward momentum just took him a little too far forward. As we have the decision here. As there's the red. Oh wow. So yeah. The moniker Liverpool lives up to it. As Xavi's shown the door at the 32-minute mark. And now Spurs will play down a man for the rest. Absolutely shambolic decision. Unbelievable. So Spurs have their work cut out for them now. Unfreaking believable. Spurs are the gift that keeps on giving, folks. There's another whistle. Unfreaking believable. As Spurs just figure out now, that's the thing is the yellow call was correct. I don't think that it was intentional, right? You actually have to have intention with the intention to hurt. And I just don't see that. I just look like his forward momentum took him a little too far forward. But of course, it's Liverpool, so they get the benefit of the doubt. And now Spurs are playing with 10. And so, again, work is going to get cut out for him. And this is unbelievable, man. As Vicario will play it long. As that falls, taken away by Romero. And now here's Kudus. As he tries to make a shot, recovers, gets the ball, and that's taken away. It looks like that might have been Florian Wirtz right there. It was, as that ball gets played out by Betancourt. Unfreaking real. Things have just changed on the dime now. Spurs have to do themselves a favor. Not necessarily play 10 behind the ball, but these things right here, where you're allowing free runners to roam in the middle of the pitch, allowing them to set up, you're going to have to do something to take away passing lanes here, or they're just going to absolutely pick us apart. Here's Slobosai. Finds Gravenbach. As that goes all the way to the left, and it's McAllister. Florian's made a nice little inside run. Here's Florian Wirtz right here. Shoots. Oh, what a save by Vicario. And now Jed Spencer is gonna kick this one away. But Florian Wirtz made a nice little run right there. And off the half turn puts one on. Absolute beautiful save here. Here's Wirtz again. Beats his man. Oh. And that's going to get out. And I think that's going to be a goal kick. But all of a sudden, Florian Wirtz now has space off that left-hand side. And Wirtz absolutely just demolished both Kudus and Porro. As Wirtz, obviously, 15 appearances, no goals, no assists. I have a feeling today that, that cycle ends. He is absolutely abusing the right-hand side of our defensive back four. As Vicario will play this long. This almost feels like a situation where maybe you take Porro off. Move Jed Spence to the right. Oh, and RKM beats his man. And there's Allison. Here's Kudus. Oh, good play by Allison. And now it looks like Liverpool's going to break. Here's Wirtz. Florian. As Jones. Actually, this is Gravenbach. As he moves it out to Canate, who moves it all the way over to Connor Bradley. Moving over as Bergvall to cover close space. As they're going to move closer and closer and closer. Here's Florian. Nice little move into McAllister. Here's Kirkes. Out to Jones. Here's Gravenbach. Here's Florian Wirtz. Taps it in. Jones. Here's Kirkes. Somewhat cleared away. Held in. And now Romero will absolutely just boot this up. As Canate will head it back in. And that ball is going to the moon, Alice. To the moon, I say. Yeah, Xavi, yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, oh, I see. Xavi was nowhere near the ball, so was red. Yeah, but you have to have intent, though, right? That's my thing, right? So I understand he wasn't playing the ball, but that being said, for it to be a red, you also have to have intent to injure. That's the thing. Don't get me wrong. Like, I actually thought the original yellow was fine. I can understand why they gave him red. I get it. By the letter of the law, yeah, I get it. But now all of a sudden, Bergvall is going to get whistled against Bradley. And now all of a sudden, like these ticky-tacky fouls are weak. As here's Kirkes. Like, I understand why red was shown. 100%. I get it. And it might even be right. That's the thing. It's like he's obviously trying to close it down and he's trying to press, right? And it looks like his forward momentum carried him a little too far. That's a good ball around the corner. Here's Kirkes. And that ball's going to sail. Good hustle right there by Kudus. So this will be a corner now. Like, I totally, like, as this will be Liverpool's second corner here. So it'll be Slobosai. And you got to watch the back. You got to watch the back post here. You got 3 at the front, only two at the back. And here's Virgil as that's punched away. That's Caduce. Yep, he's going to look for Pedro Porro, and he's got him too. Here's Porro. Porro in the and Jed Spence. It gets away from Spencey Poo as he was looking to get on his right foot. That's the problem with having a right footer in a left-sided attack here. As Porro put one across. Oh, and he just flat out missed it. Oh, Jed, you bum. As here comes Liverpool now, as Kirkes is breaking. And now I'll slow it down. He's got Verts in front of him. Here's McAllister. And he'll lay it off. As Jones will play it all the way to the right. Here's Bradley. Good ball in. Oh. As that's going to get out for a corner. As they're going to play this short. Here's Slobosai. As that's going to get knocked to the back side of the box here. Kirkes will play it over. Playing 1-2s with Florian Wirtz. Here's Wirtz. And he's going to have to lay this one off. There's a ball that's in. Romero does a good job of clearing it. Here's Bergvall. Kudus loses it. But now Romero springs Bergvall on the counter. Oh, good defense right there. But Bergvall tracks it. Here's Kudus. And he's got to play this back. Here's Romero. That's a good ball into Jed. And now he's going to shoot this one out to the right. He finds Kudus. And he's got to let that one go. Oh. That was a good hustle right there by Connor Bradley because he was going to put one forward. He had RKM. That ball was headed right to Randall. That was just a good sliding block right there by Connor Bradley. But yeah, Liverpool will have possession. So far, Spurs have played the last 10 minutes down to man pretty well. I'll give them credit. Looks like defensively they're playing 4-4-1. Keeping two decent lines of four. As that ball will go all the way to the left. Here's Kirkes. Nice play right there by Kudus. As Archie Gray loses control of it. So now here's Liverpool. Slobosai working it between. Oh, nice play by Jed Spence now. Spence is off to the race now. Here's Jed. He's got his man beat. Jed trying to find somebody in the box. There's nobody tracking back. Jed. And they're going to say no penalty. Interesting. Play on. And Jed's going to have to get up and back very quickly. Here's Florian Wirtz. Florian is going to make the switch to the left-hand side. And down is Bradley here. As we see it again. Yeah, that wasn't a penalty at all. Bradley just had good positioning right there. Oh, it looks like Connor Bradley right there stepped on Jones's foot. So 3 minutes of added time here at the end of the first half. As it is right now, it is sitting at a 0-0. those that are tuning in, Xavi gets sent off in the 33rd minute with a red card on I guess you can say maybe a wee bit aggressive tackle to Virgil van Dijk. VAR will get him for a red, and he was sent off. So he will be gone next week for Crystal Palace. So Tottenham has been playing down a man for 13 minutes as Bradley will be looked at. And I will say that all things considered, Spurs have been hanging tough. I will give them credit. They actually have been getting forward as well too. So from that standpoint, you have to appreciate the hustle and the intensity of how they've been playing. You have to appreciate it. They still have a lot of work cut out for them in the next 45. But I will say that this is a different. The Spurs team has shown a different attitude today against Liverpool. It's kind of the right attitude you'd like to see, but Spurs don't make it easy on themselves. As play is resumed, Liverpool will have possession as it finds the foot of Konate, and they'll circle it back to the left-hand side as Virgil van Dijk will carry it forward. Here's Konate. Back to Virgil, who will play it off to the left. As here's Gravenbach. And he'll play it back to Konate. Here's Slobosai. It's McAllister. And now Slobosai is going to try to make a run. Oh, nice positioning right there by Lucas Bergvall. As that ball takes a deflection as Archie Gray tried to clear it. As Vicario just got underneath it right there. Spurs are lucky. That ball gets out. The Spurs were lucky that wasn't worse than it actually was, as Vicario didn't get a good rip on that at all. As Liverpool will restart again, as it's Florian Wirtz to Jones here, as that makes its way to the right. Here's Konate down to Bradley, as Liverpool will restart as Jones finds his way in. And there's Archie Gray, who's going to clear it. And Liverpool will reset as they chip one out to Florian Wirtz. As that's a good job right there by Pedro Porro to knock that one out. As this ball will come in. Here's McAllister. That ball takes a deflection, so this will be a Liverpool corner here. As McAllister thought he was going to take a rip from outside the box. Good defense right there to close it down. As this will be Slobosai take this corner here for Liverpool. As we're in the 50th minute now. Spurs are playing with 10. As that ball will go in. Headed to the back. Here's Florian Wirtz. Good deflection right there by Rodrigo Betancourt. As that's a whistle right there. That'll go against Jones on Lucas Bergvall. And that's going to be the half. So not bad. Not bad. I will say that, hey, what's going on, Nate Ski? Good to see you, bud. I will say that all things considered, Spurs actually represented themselves quite well in that first half, even after the red card there. Every opportunity to hang their heads after that, they didn't. They kept themselves locked in. They kept themselves glued together. And so from that standpoint, man, you have to be at least somewhat appreciative of the, I guess you can say, the intensity in which Spurs are playing, because they actually haven't given up at all. As a matter of fact, I think they still think that they're still in this game, which they absolutely are. So let's go ahead and take a look at the halftime stats here. As Liverpool obviously leads the possession battle 63-37. But Spurs lead the XG battle 0.44 to 0.25. Total shots, Spurs 5, Liverpool 4. Shots on target, Liverpool 2, Spurs 1. And Spurs had one big chance and they missed it. Accurate passes, Liverpool 254. Spurs 137. Fouls committed, Spurs 7, Liverpool 2. And of course, one of those resulted in a red card. Corners, Liverpool 4. Spurs 0. XG from open play, Spurs 0.44 to Liverpool's 0.10. Yeah, that's actually not bad at all. Here's the interesting thing, which I actually found quite interesting, was the fact that shots inside the box 3-3. And it shows you just exactly how similar these two styles of play really are. It's essentially the battle of who's actually going to have the better horseshoe attack. Shots outside the box, Spurs 2, Liverpool 1. Total passes, Liverpool 285, Spurs 170. Passes in their own half, Liverpool 107, Spurs 58. Passes in the opposition half, 147-79. Accurate long balls, Liverpool 17, Spurs 12. Accurate crosses, 3-3. Liverpool has the advantage on throws, 18-4. Touches in the opposition box, it's only 13-8. So that's actually kind of interesting right there. Offsides, Liverpool has 2, Spurs 1. And of course, yellow cards is 0-0. But of course, the big one is the red on Xavi Simons. Defensively, Spurs leading the tackle battle 6-0. Interceptions, Liverpool 4. Spurs 1. Blocks are even 2-2. Clearances 23-5 to Spurs. Keeper saves 2-1. Spurs as well too. Defensively speaking, duels, Spurs lead the duel battle 17-15. Ground duels, Spurs lead that one 11-10. Aerial duels, Spurs lead that 6-5. Successful dribbles, Liverpool leads that 4-3. And so everything that when you read into this one, it would assume that this is absolutely even. Even with Spurs playing down a man, it seems like it's even. And from that standpoint, Spurs are very much in this match. And one of the things that they absolutely have to do is keep their attention to detail and keep that focus, because Liverpool has many ways that they can absolutely gut you like a fish if you're not careful. The one thing that I'd like to highlight is the fact that towards the end of the first half, Liverpool is trying to break through when they set up outside the 18-yard box. It's not necessarily taking shots from outside the 18 yards. It's playing balls into central areas, and Spurs have done a very good job of closing down those passing lanes. And from that standpoint, you have to be thrilled with that, because it's that little attention to detail is going to make the difference between Spurs potentially getting a point out of this one and Liverpool absolutely dominating. Let's go ahead real quick. Let's go ahead and take a look around the English Premier League. All right, let's see what we got. So today, Newcastle and Chelsea played to a 2-2 draw. Looks like Nick Voltamade had a brace today, and he scores in the 4th and 20th minute. And it looks like Reece James and João Pedro scored the second half for Chelsea as that one played to a 2-2 draw. Brentford travels to the Molineux to take on Wolves, and right now Brentford, it looks like Brentford won that one as Keane Lewis-Potter has a second half brace. So Brentford picks up the 3 points against last place Wolves, and that's too bad because Wolves are going to get relegated, and it's too bad. Manchester City absolutely smashed West Ham 3-0. Erling Haaland with a brace himself in the fifth, and he scores in the 5th and 69th minute. And it looks like Tijani Reinders scored in the 38th. And it looks like Manchester City again continues to climb the ladder. Brighton and Sunderland played to a 0-0 draw today. So again, good point right there for Sunderland. Today, Bournemouth and Burnley played to a 1-1 draw as Antoine Semenyo scored in the 67th minute. It looked like Armando Borja scored in the 90th minute, and so Burnley picks up a huge point. Of course, this one is even at the half. Later today, Crystal Palace will travel to Leeds. Arsenal travels to the Hill Dickinson to take on Everton, and tomorrow United will go to Villa Park to take on Villa. That's going to be an interesting one. And on Monday night, Forest travels to West London to take on Fulham. That's also has a potential to be a good one as well too. So we are getting close now to the start of the second half. I will be right back as I pause real quick. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. We are back to start the second half, and I do appreciate the patience there. Spurs and Liverpool are even 0-0 at the end of the first half, and of course, for those that are tuning in, Xavi goes off in the 33rd minute after VAR sends him off with the red card after a little bit wee aggressive of a tackle against Virgil van Dijk. That being said, Spurs play the rest of the first half actually doing very well, defensively. From that standpoint, you have to be thrilled. They showed up today with the right attitude. They started off trying to attack, had a couple of decent looks at Allison there. Of course, weren't being able to converge, but they were getting forward. They were attacking some of their soft spots and doing exactly what they were supposed to do. And of course, then the red card happens, and then all of a sudden getting forward, few and far between because they're so deep. Because obviously of the red card, that whenever they do try to break, they don't have the numbers necessarily to go forward. So they have to slow it down. But when they have, they've looked solid, man. So from this standpoint, in the second half, the question is does Thomas Frank do anything different? I don't think so. And I do think that from that standpoint, I like it. And hopefully things continue to progress. And hopefully we see something a little bit more dangerous from Spurs in the second half. I don't necessarily think a change is in order. I think the 10 that are out there are definitely capable. I guess the question is like, especially if this thing is going to be more defensive than not, do you shore up the right side? Because Florian Wirtz there for like the last 10, 15 minutes was absolutely dominating Pedro Porro off that right-hand side, whether it was inside runs or whether it was trying to get around the corner. I thought Florian played well. Damn near scored as well, too, as he's able to free up. So maybe there might be some sort of change if you want to maybe bring Jed Spence to the other side on his more dominant foot. They do have some option on that left-hand side, whether it's Ben Davis, although I get it, it's Ben Davis, or maybe you bring in Kevin Danso, and then maybe Mickey Van de Ven will go to the left-hand side, which me personally, I don't think that is necessarily the worst thing you can do. But that being said, we are getting pretty close to the start of the second half. And I'm just curious to see how you guys felt about it, because me personally, I think the Spurs have actually done a very good job accounting for themselves today, especially after that performance in Nottingham Forest. So from that standpoint, let me know how you feel. When I think about it, this was the one thing I think Spurs fans wanted to see, was a Spurs team that was that was going to show up and at least make a good account of themselves. And I think from that standpoint, I think Spurs kind of passed. The thing that I wanted to see specifically was them to release the handbrake, them to get forward, and then and of course Spurs just to be brave, man. This was like, if there's any team that you want to do that, it is Liverpool, because again, Liverpool still trying to figure out the intricacies of the way that Arne Slot wants to play. And, you're essentially witnessing the exact same attack, right? So it was kind of like a battle of attrition. Who is going to be able to make who was able going to make that run? Who was going to do what, do the most with the ball at their feet? And I thought at times Spurs actually had a little bit of the advantage. But that being said, now it's kind of flipped now, because now we're a little bit more defensive. So from that standpoint, it's like, are we going to be able to get those numbers forward? It's a very good question, and a question that I don't know if it's going to be asked. But that being said, can Spurs play 45 minutes and hold out and get a 0-0 draw? Certainly. They certainly look like they played that way. But that being said, it's like, you think that with the way that Sunderland was able to grab a point, the way that Leeds was able to battle the way back. I guess, again, both teams didn't necessarily have to do it with 10 men, but it is possible where Spurs are going to be able to get forward and get a ball in the back of the net and potentially put themselves in a good position. I don't know, man. I think it's definitely possible. It's going to be interesting to see, if Thomas Frank is going to do anything different. Even with 10 men, Spurs were, defensively in a 4-4-2, and then broke forward, and it looked like they were kind of attacking with 6. And now all of a sudden that had to change. Understandable. But the thing, but the reality is they're still in this match. They are very much in it. And so from that standpoint, you kind of want to see them continue to try to be brave. And just take chances. I understand you're down a man and you want to limit that, and I wouldn't. As far as I'm concerned, it would make sense for Thomas Frank to be completely risk averse in this standpoint. But that being said, the season's slipping away, and if you end up losing this match, fair enough. But at least you did yourself a solid by at least being brave. So, as we begin the second half, it looks like Alexander Isak has come on for Liverpool as we start the second half now. The former Newcastle lad making a huge move to a big club, and so far it's been okay. Maybe it's been a little bit of tough sledding for him because he actually has been dealing with injury. But we are underway now, as Spurs will be playing to the south stand, as Newcastle will be playing to the north. Spurs were absolutely locked in towards the end of the first half. Very good defensively. As this ball will make its way to the left, here's Virgil. As Kirkes will play it back to Virgil, and now this thing is going to go down all the way to Florian Wirtz. As Betancourt has to be a little careful. Here's Kirkes. As he's going to play this out, as the guy that's coming out, that ball's going to go into the back post. As Kirkes will fire this all the way, and that'll get all the way to the backside, but held in by Slobosai. As Liverpool will keep it in Spurs half. As that ball gets played back down to Florian Wirtz off the left-hand side. Here's Wirtz. Wirtz is going to cut in. Now he's going to, as he finds Kirkes, who plays it back to Virgil. Here's Gravenbach. Now they're going to try to work their way to the right-hand side. Here's Slobosai. And now it's Jones. Plays it in. 1v1 with Ekitike. Here's Jed. Here's Ekitike. Good ball in. As Jones will give Slobosai some room. And that ball's going to go in. Mickey Van de Ven heads it back. As now Spurs are going to try to press here. As that ball finds its way all the way back to Allison. Actually, I think that might have been Kilster. As here comes Liverpool. Here's Jones, plays it all the way back down to Florian Wirtz, who's got a step. All the way to Kirkes, ball in, and it's Archie Gray that is going to clear it, as Kirkes was able to get around the corner there. As this will be a Liverpool throw-in. Here's Jones. Oh, that's a good ball in. It's like he found McAllister. Here's Florian Wirtz. Here's McAllister. And that ball is going to take a deflection. Right there is Virgil. Kept in by Florian Wirtz. McAllister will play it around to Gravenbach. Good move right there against RKM. As Wirtz will hold on to the ball now. Here's Wirtz. Taken away. Here's Caduce. As that ball's going to go out. So Spurs will have a throw-in. As that will release a little bit of the pressure. As this will be Pedro Porro. As Spurs are going to have to every time up the pitch, they're going to have to make this count. Here's RKM, and he loses the battle to Virgil. Good sliding tackle right there. And look at Virgil coming over to cover it, as that ball will get played back, and right there is Virgil van Dijk. As now all of a sudden Van Dijk is going to send a ball forward, trying to get Ekitike, and that ball's won by Jed Spence. So here comes Spurs now. They got space, making a run. Oh, as Bergvall was making a run, you got to play that ball onto Bergvall, as that one's nearly taken away right there. Here's Gray, and he plays it back to Vicario, and now Vicario will launch this one, and there's Spurs' opportunity right there. As Vicario concedes possession, here comes Liverpool. Here's Wirtz. Nice play by Porro, as he will find. And again, you had another runner centrally, as it was Pedro Porro running a central line. And that's a good ball forward. Here's Bergvall against Kanate. Here's Caduce. He will play it back. And there's nobody in the box. As Arkam's on the backside, and now he's trapped 1v2, and he's just going to have to put this one forward. Bad possession right there by Spurs. I understand they're down 2, but that was just absolutely dreadful. As here's Florian Wirtz now on the left-hand side. We'll play it to Alexander Isak. Isak tries to play it forward. That's going to take a deflection. Down to Caduce as Kirkes does a good job, and that's going to get out for throwing. I get the impression that they're playing for a 0-0 draw here. I understand they're down a man. I get it. It changes the way that they're going to play, but they're not doing anything to suggest that they're trying to get forward. You know, they're conceding possession, willing to sit, essentially a sit 10 behind the ball. So when you're breaking on the counter, you have two men to come forward. And I get it. You don't want to, as Romero will head this out, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you can get caught. Understand. Here's RKM. Here's Bergvall. Here's Spence. Now they got 4 getting forward as Jed Spence nearly loses the ball. Archie Gray does a good job, and now Spence will try to turn. Oh, yeah, there's no foul there. As Sloboside literally just trips Jed Spence as he gets around him. No foul. Wow. Oh, that's shambolic. As Bergvall will just pop this forward. Oh, that was such a dreadful non-call. As he played it forward, and then Sloboside literally just trips him up with his hands. There's nobody there. That was easily should have been a whistle right there. Unbelievable. Nice challenge right there by Bergvall. As this ball makes its way over to Florian Wirtz. Here's Gravenbach. Here's Sloboside. And it's McAllister. There's a ball. Back post at Ekitike. Held in by Wirtz. That's going to get out. I think they're going to say this is a corner. And right now, everything is going Liverpool's way. We'll see. As Liverpool have 5 at the back post, 2 centrally, and here's Sloboside. That ball goes far, far back post. Kept in. Here's Jones. Blocked. Here's Isak. And that's finally gonna get cleared. Because that'll get out. Is down on the ground is Alexander Isak. And he's absolutely faking it. And now there's some chippiness between Nate and Romero. Nah. Betancourt cleared it. And Isak just came into the space as Betancourt tried to put his foot down. Yeah, see, you're good. You're good. as this is going the last touch by Spurs as it went out. So this will be a Liverpool possession here, as Isak was trying to convince the ref to potentially hand out something worse. Here's Florian Wirtz. Kirkez tries to get him. That's going to get headed away. There's Wirtz again. Playing 1-2. Here's Wirtz. Trying to weave his way through. Taken away by Bergvall. Here's Kudus. As Kudus weaves his way out of traffic. And that ball is going to take a deflection. Right to Liverpool. Oh, here's Wirtz. Plays it forward. Isak! And that's a goal. And now Isak is down again, but he scored. As Liverpool capitalizes again off a turnover. As Romero tried to play it forward. And that was a great ball forward by Florian Wirtz to find Alexander Isak. So again, off a botch Spurs. I guess it was a mistake by Romero. As Van de Ven couldn't get there in time as it beats Vicario. So Liverpool takes a 1-0 lead. As it starts with Romero trying to play it forward, but it takes a deflection. And it looks like it was McAllister that played Wirtz on, and Wirtz just makes a nice little forward pass as he hits Alexander Isak. And Isak will finish. And now it looks like Isak is down. And this actually might be serious here. As it looks like they're looking at his knee. As it looks like Brennan Johnson's going to come on now. As Kudus will come off in the 57th minute. So Kudus' day is done. As Brennan Johnson comes on. As we see it again, Romero tried to play one forward because he had RKM. It was just blocked. And it looks like McAllister played on Wirtz. And it was Isak with a nice little touch. Ooh, yeah. And it looks like Isak got caught up. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, and it actually might be his foot. It got trapped. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. And you wonder if there's something broken. Ooh. Or a high ankle sprain. So Isak's day is done. I think Isak's probably going to come out. Yeah, so here comes Jeremy Frimpong. Oh, dear. As looks like Isak is done. But he did finish to give Liverpool the lead 1-0 here as we're approaching the 60th minute. As he's being helped off. As Isak is done, here comes Frimpong. Liverpool lead 1-0. As Archie Gray will play this back to Vicario. As that ball will make its way up and over the head. As this will find its way down to Pedro Porro. And here's Brennan Johnson. Here's Brennan. And he just skies the entire 6-yard box. as it finds Dominic Slobosai. And he fights his way out of this one. And here's Kanate. And Kanate will just throw this down. Good positioning right there. And it's Christian Romero. Here's Romero. Here's Bergvall. Gray will play it forward to Jed Spence. Here's Pedro Porro. Here's Brendan Johnson. As Johnson loses possession. And Liverpool will try to get forward here. And that's a nice little turnover, and now Betancourt gives it away. Here's Slobosai. Up to Frimprong. As Liverpool will hold possession here. As it makes its way over to Florian Wirtz. Here's Jones. Nice play right there. And yeah, Betancourt has nowhere to go except to play this one up the pitch and out. Do I really have to sit for the next half hour, watching Spurs defend? Yep. As the ball finds its way to Virgil, here's Kirkes. Plays it over to Florian. Here's Ekatike. Nice little play right there by Archie Gray. Here's Bergvall. Nice play right there. Johnson will play it down. And Pedro Porro will just play it forward. And it comes down to Liverpool. Here's McAllister. Out right to Frimprong. Here's Frim. Nice move by Frimpong, and that touch was just too much as that gets out, so that'll be a goal kick. Eventually, Liverpool was going to take advantage of the man advantage. And it was Alexander Isak who got injured on the finish as Liverpool leads 1-0. And as of right now, a victory for Liverpool will carry him all the way to 5th. As we look at the live table, here's Randall Colomwani. Colo. Oh! And it hits the crossbar. Here's Jed. Jed's going to take one, and that's right there. From outside as Randall Colomwani nearly equalized. As we see it again, he just raced. It gets to the outside of Kirkes. And he tried to dink one. It looked like it was deflected a little bit. As we see it. Yeah, and it did. It deflected off of Kirkes' foot. And it just dinks off the crossbar. And Spurs nearly equalized right there as I welcome Carl Slim Blue, a.k.a. Audio Artisan, a.k.a. What's up, my guy? Good to see you. And the hard way as usual, yeah. Self-inflicted pain, man. The red card, which killed a little bit of it. And then you knew eventually that Liverpool would take advantage. Here's Kirkes again in the box. Here's Archie Gray to clean it up. And it looks like, yeah, Spurs are just defending for their life now as Isak put them ahead by 1. So far, my prediction hasn't come true as I predicted a potential four shipped because it's still Liverpool, as Kirk has just absolutely manhandles Brennan Johnson. As Ekatike against Romero. Like, I'll give Spurs credit. Their attitude was good today. And through the first 30 minutes, they did everything they were supposed to do. They were attacking Liverpool's soft underbelly, and it nearly paid off. A couple good chances. Here's Frimpong. Ekatike. Oh, and it goes in. Oh, Ekatike. And now it's 2-0 Liverpool. As Frimpong essentially put up a Hail Mary. And Romero saying that, as we see it again, as Frimpong absolutely beat him. That one goes up, and they're saying that Ekatike climbed the back, as we see it again, as that ball takes a deflection. And he's saying that Ekatike, he pushed off. He absolutely pushed off. And it goes in. So the question is this one coming back? I doubt it. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a big Jet guy. But that being said, as they're going to say that this one will stand. There's a yellow card. I think this is probably going to go against Christian Romero. Unbelievable. A red card, and then the second goal from a legit push off. Okay, so that's that is the way that Liverpool operate. Oh, that's a good ball. Good defense right there. Good defense right there by Kirkes. As this one will go out. As this will be a long throw here. By Bergvall. It's absolutely mind-numbing. As that's the thing. It's like, the one thing that I will say is, like, their attitude was good to start, and they even held it up in the first half. As that ball is going to be held in. Here's Bergvall. Here's Jed Spence. Spence is going to play this one all the way back, as that'll go out for a goal kick. But you can say that through the first 30 minutes things were fine. They get the red card, okay, fine. But they did they held their own for the rest of the first half, and but you knew eventually that Liverpool was eventually going to take over. They did, and it just seemed that even when Spurs were getting forward, they weren't committing themselves to getting forward. I understand, right? Just the way that Thomas Frank plays, right? You don't want to draw yourself too far out, because Liverpool is the type of team that absolutely can gut you like a fish. But that being said, even to start the second half, they were still in it. It was still 0-0. And apparently Tadare is too risky. What I will say is that to dare to do is too risky, especially when your season's slipping away. But, coming into this one, they needed to release the handbrake against a team like Liverpool, which was definitely doable. And they, they had a couple nice moments there early in the first half, but you get the red card and then things completely fall apart. Here's Florian Wirtz. Oh, Wirtz looked like he was trying to play one in. Here's Wirtz again. Oh, that's good defense right there. And there's going to be a whistle here. So it looks like João Palhinha is going to be offside. So João Palhinha is going to come in. And it looks like Wilson Odebear is coming in as well, too. So Bergvall's off for Odebear. And it looks like Archie Gray's coming on for João Palhinha. Good game today from both Bergvall and Gray. I think both of those guys played extremely well today. So we will see João. The crazy thing is they took off Mohamed Kudus after 57 minutes. So looks like Liverpool fans are going crazy in the corners. As that one gets played out by Pedro Porro. As Liverpool will start things back up again. So, by the way, Spurs have 10 Premier home losses in the 2025 calendar year. They have never lost more than 11 in a single year. And, you have to be honest. And, right now we're just not a good team. Is that another link slow slide just to walk it in? Here's Jones. Here's Wirtz. Florian. As Brendan Johnson looks completely uninterested. Here's Slobosai. He's going to chip this off to Frimpong on the right. Gravenbach. Headed on. Back post, Wirtz. And he missed it. Looked like he was off anyway. I'm just, like he was way off. I'm just waiting for the Florian Wirtz first goal of the season because it's coming today. Let's see. Ever since VAR made that massive mistake in that Liverpool Spurs game, there's been loads of dodgy ref decisions in their favor. Oh, yeah. Well, there's been dodgy decisions today, too. I think we're getting – yeah. 100%, man. 100%. As it's just Ekatike pushes off and the goal's allowed to stand. There was that no call against Jed Spence as he actually had a good move and it looked like McAllister trips him up with his hands. No call. As Frimpong puts one in, and that's going to take a deflection. Good deflection right there by Mickey Van de Ven. But the interesting thing is these results continue, and it's going to alienate players. Now, here's the thing: I don't like the idea of players having power. But that being said, a coach that they absolutely respect, that sets the expectations, players will absolutely respect it. And I'm starting to wonder whether or not these players have any respect for Thomas Frank. I'll be the first one to say that I don't have as that ball's going to be headed out and Gravenbach will try to keep it in, and he does. Here's Wirtz, who pops one straight up. As Mickey Van de Ven will try to head it out, but Liverpool will hold it in. As Jones will move it all the way down to Florian. As here's Kirkes. as you feel. And the thing about it is like I very much want as that one got away from Kirk, as so this will be a Spurs throw in. I very much want the endless cycle of chopping and changing managers to end. But I'm not convinced that if you give Frank $300 million and you're able to, that ball was an errant pass, right? There's Jet Spence and McAllister as Mickey wins it back. I'm not convinced, and he's just going to have to shoot this one up. And there's a whistle right there against Kanate, against RKM. And that's a yellow. I'm not convinced that we're going to see better football. That's one of my biggest issues. They're like even with the players that are assembled, and I still think that we have enough players where we're able to come good. Like I believe that. But like I'm just not convinced that Thomas Frank is the guy. I'm sorry. I don't think his style of football matches the squad, matches the ambition of this team. I'm sorry. That's just the way I feel. He hasn't shown me that his style of football is going to work. Here's Brendan. And Brendan's going to have to play this one back. That Spurs will try to reset here. Here's Van de Ven. Here's Jed. Here's Odebear. Spurs are kind of pinned back here. Here's Palhinha and Romero. That's Van de Ven will try to play one forward. Hits Odebear. And that's taken away by Frimpong. Nice play. And here comes Liverpool. Here's Kirkes. As we are now approaching the 78th minute, 12 minutes remain. Spurs trail by 2. That's a good. It almost worked. If Verts actually had finished off the run, he was open. Here's Frimpong. Look at Frimpong. Just doing a good job. Here's Kirkes. Here's Florian. Finds Jones. There's a ball in to the backside. Here's Verts. Lays it off to Ekatike. And he's going to play this back to Vidge. As Palhinha seems to be upset about something. Here's Frimpong. And McAllister comes in to keep the ball deep. Here's Slobosai. Slobosai in. As Romero heads it out, but kept in by Gravenbach. Here's Verts. Ekatike. Their ball movement right now is excellent. They're essentially playing keep away. And now they're going to say offside. Let's see. And let's see. He doesn't look like the squad. Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. There's very little chemistry, and they just do not look like they're giving 100%. Brentford beat Wolves, and we couldn't do that. Similar to Ange, Frank is counting on the moments to win the game. Yeah, but the thing with Ange, at least we actually had a definitive playing style. That's the first thing. It looks like Richarlison's come on now. At least we had a definitive game plan we had a definitive attacking identity. That's who we are, mate. But as Richarlison will take a foul right there. So this will be a Spurs free kick here. The rare free kick. The biggest issue with Ange is the fact that we were so wide open and it was easy for teams to counter against us. And after a while, we just absolutely got gutted like a fish quite a bit, right? The interesting thing though is like we heard Mickey Van de Ven saying that not only did Ange have the team, but they would have absolutely ran through a brick wall for Ange, which is counter to what some fans thought last year, that he had lost the dressing room. Wasn't the case. Ball in. As Virgil will try to head it away. Here's Richarlison, as that's going to get out, and there's Spurs' first corner. Where here we don't have an attacking identity. We never seem to keep the same shape from week after week. And I think because of that, and when you see players who make mistakes continuously get run out, players are getting dropped after good performances. Quite personally, I just think that there really isn't a lot of respect. I would say that, in my estimation, I think Frank was asked this in a recent press conference about, is there a buy-in? And he said it's good. It's not great. It feels like it's wishy-washy. You know what I mean? So he's, from that standpoint, he doesn't necessarily have a lot of buy-in. As Paulinho, Richarlison scores. Woo! Richarlison gets one back. As that ball was pinging around the box, Van de Ven goes down. Richarlison gets pushed in the back, but it just finds its way to Richarlison's foot. As Paulinho tried to get a foot on it, it just bounces around. Virgil couldn't clear it. And there's Richarlison to get one back. Good heart right there by Spurs. As we have 7 minutes to play, can Spurs find an equalizer? They're going to take this one off? Are they going to take this off for offsides? They're going to take it off. Wow, they're going to take this one off for offsides too. Oh, that would, yeah. Are they or no? They're going to, yeah, there you go. They're going to count it. I was going to say, like, that would be totally on script if Spurs get robbed. As Paulinho fires up the crowd. So 2-1 now as Spurs, they get a little life breathed back into them. Let's see if Spurs can actually do the unthinkable, man. As Dominic Slobosai also gets a yellow card in the exchange. And it looks like it was against Mickey Van de Ven. So he has got his fifth, and so he is going to miss the next fixture. As there is a whistle, it looks like McAllister's down. So Slobosai will miss the next fixture for Liverpool. As it looks like McAllister will get the whistle. And he's fake injured. That's funny, your 2-2 prediction. I hate to say it, man, but I had a 1 Liverpool win. Like, I didn't see any hope in this one at all. And now Mickey Van de Ven's going to get a yellow. Dude, this is ridiculous. This is some of the worst refereeing I've seen. And I've seen some pretty bad refs considering I live in the United States. Here's Richie. Richie. Oh, Richie. Covered by 3 defenders, but he still tried to somewhat manage to get one off. That's going to go off a police. That's going to go off. And here we go. Spurs quick throw in. That's going to go out for a corner. And now they're going to say that it should have been Liverpool ball. That goes off the head of Jones. How is that not a corner? Oh, good takeaway. Ball forward. Here's Richie. Richie. What? Oh, okay. That was a replay. So, yeah, as I was going to say, how is that not a corner? It is a corner. Here we go. Here can Spurs equalize? It'll be Pedro Porro as McAllister has got Van de Ven. As that's going to go short. That was a waste of a corner. That's going to go out. Quick throw in here for Spurs. There you go. Jed Spence now. As he's going to play this one into Jed. Jed. And that's going to go out. Good defense right there by Frimpong. 87 minutes. This is actually starting to get somewhat exciting here. As here's Jed. Here's Richie. Richie. Oh, what a play right there by Allison. As Frimpong, looks like Frimpong got busted in the lip. As that's going to come down. Here's Jed. As Frimpong gets up. And there's going to be a whistle. They're going to say that's against Slobosai. There's going to be a free kick. And as we're in the 88th minute, is this going to be a Liverpool collapse here? As Frimpong is saying he got elbowed, it was incidental. As now there's some pushing and shoving now. As Frimpong takes a seat here. And obviously this is time wasting here. That's all this is. And it looks like Federico Chiesa is about to check in for Liverpool. A guy that I wouldn't have mind having. As it looks like they're going to take, Frimpong off? For a split lip? Yeah. Oh, so he comes off. So Frimpong comes off for a little baby scratch, and I guess here comes Federico Chiesa, as this will be another Spurs free kick. Can they equalize? As we've reached the 90th minute, 9 minutes of extra time here. As that ball goes in. Oh, Allison will hit it out, but right there, that's going to go out. That'll be a Spurs throw-in. No, they're going to say Liverpool. As this is feels like it's squeaky bum time for Liverpool here. As Spurs just can't nick a goal here. As that's going to get out again. It's going to be a Liverpool throw-in, yep. As Kirkes will throw this in. As Ekatike looks like he just throws one up. There's Van de Ven. As Greenbach will play this one forward. It's Van de Ven. Oh, okay, good. I was going to say you don't want to let Ekatike have a free roll there. Good defending by Van de Ven. As Vicario will just play one up. There's not much Polina could do. And now it's going to get cleared. Van de Ven will play it down to Betancourt. Betancourt plays it forward. And here's Ekatike. Good defense right there by Betancourt. To take that away from Ekatike. That had all the makings of retro. As that ball will go forward. Yeah, that's going to be absolutely. That's going to be a whistle right there against Kanate, but then in a retaliation, Romero comes after Kanate, and I think they're throwing Romero out. And frustration has boiled over. As he comes up, Kanate comes up. There's the kick to the chest. Yeah. As Romero will get sent off, and so now Spurs are down 2. Dear. As Spurs have 2 sent off. The captain's done. And so now Spurs are playing with 2 men down. Yikes. Unreal. So Romero wins the free kick, but then in retaliation kicks Kanate. So it's going to be Pedro Porro. Here's Porro. And right there is Allison. I was really hoping that he wasn't going to try to take a shot from that long. Ugh. Spurs just come unglued, man. And there's a foul. There's a yellow. As Betancourt comes over and lays out Kirkes. Oh man, this has become a red card wedding here. As Simons has gone out, Xavi goes out at the 33, and then Romero goes out at the 90+. And granted, it wasn't a 4-1. But it had all the makings of a 4-1. Oh, nice move right there by Jed Spence. At least Spurs are trying to get forward. Here's Spence trying to play it on. Look at that. Wilson Odebear. But he loses control. But right there is Mickey Van de Ven. Here's Vandy. And yeah, that ball goes to the left. Here's Jed. Here's Odie. Trying to cut in. Virgil's there to head it away. That'll go out for a throw-in. As we are in the 95th. Here's Betancourt. Here's Odie. There you go, buddy. Play one in. Back post. Headed up by Van Dijk. Falling down. Ooh. Here's Pedro Porro. Porro! And there's Allison Becker. As Pedro Porro put a good move on it. And it reflected off of Kirkes. Three minutes remain. Can Spurs find the equalizer? Bad pass right there, but it finds Richarlison. Here is Odie trying to get around, and he gets on it. Ooh, and Van de Ven goes 1v1. And here's Jed Spence. Good defense right there by Brendan Johnson. Brendan Johnson. As Pedro Porro is down. Yeah, that's a yellow. Did I say that right? Was that good defense by Brendan Johnson? As now it looks like McAllister is going to take a yellow. 2 minutes remain. And I will give all the Spurs the credit. As soon as Richarlison gets one, all of a sudden it was like a light switch turned on, and then they became aggressive again. And it feels like they're going to get this equalizer. That's what it feels like. Here's Betancourt. Here's Jedley. Here's Brennan. Of course, Brennan's fucking terrible on the ball. As that ball is going to be cleared, but there's Brendan Johnson. Minute and a half. Actually, about a minute left. Yeah, that's Jed Spence. And that'll be a throw-in. So they have 1 minute remain. And Liverpool will make a switch here. As Ekatike comes off for Robertson. As Liverpool will come away. And there's going to be another one as well, too. So it looks like, yeah, Verts comes off for Neone. Florian Verts actually played a really good game today. So, yeah. Undisciplined Christian Romero as he let his emotions get the better of him. As this one is going to be coming to an end here. As Paulinho will head it forward. Richarlison does a good job. Here's Odegaard chopping it forward. No whistle there. And it looks like it's going to be Robertson to play this one forward. Here's Vicario. And this is going to be Spurs' last chance here. As they will send everybody deep. Here's Vicario. As it falls to Jed. Here's Richarlison. Plays it forward. Odegaard! Oh, what a Alisson Becker. Oh, look at Betancourt. And there's the game. Oh, and Liverpool holds on 2-1. And then Richarlison gets a yellow to boot. Ah! This was terrible refereeing. All right. Oh, where's Steven Bergman? Steven Bergman when you really need him. So it doesn't matter. Different week, same shit. Spurs lose 2-1. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Well, here's the thing. I will start off by saying that Spurs had the right attitude coming into this one. They showed that they were up for it. And that even held true after the initial red card. I didn't necessarily think it needed to go to a red card. I thought it was more of an orange than a red. Because again, yes, technically speaking, he wasn't necessarily playing the ball. But that being said, he tried to stop himself, but his forward momentum took him a little too far forward, and he gets the back of the calf of Virgil van Dijk. Okay, whatever, red card, he gets sent off. But Spurs did still, even after the red card, they still had the same. They still had the same mojo, man. They still had the same fight. And then they get into the half. But then as soon as the half is, as soon as we get to the second half, they weren't necessarily playing with the same intensity. They weren't getting forward. It seemed like they were just a little too scared to get numbers forward. And I understand, because you don't want to get caught out. Liverpool's the type of team that's going to gut you like a fish. But still, they get one. I thought the second was a gift too, because Ekitike literally pushed Romero for that second goal. It probably shouldn't have been allowed, but whatever. It's 2-0. Spurs get one back, and that's all of a sudden, it feels like Spurs came to life after they get that one. They were literally just pushing forward. They had a couple opportunities late. It didn't fall their way. And it is what it is. Overall, this performance today was night and day better than what we saw at the City Ground. But still, results are what they are. And I came into this one thinking that even though that Liverpool have not necessarily been playing their best, they still have the quality, to have a spectacular day. It was only 2. I thought it was going to be something way different, but it is what it is. It doesn't matter what the prediction is. I still predicted Spurs were going to lose today. Sure enough, they did. And now all of a sudden it is, having 3 unbeaten, now you've lost 2 straight, and now you have to go into Selhurst Park, a place where we haven't won since 2020, and nothing that convinces me that things are going to change at Selhurst Park. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stats altogether for this one. At the full-time whistle, Liverpool wins the possession battle 65-35. Spurs did win the XG battle 1.01 to 0.60. Spurs had 15 total shots to Liverpool's 8. Shots on target, Spurs win that 5-4. Big chances were even 2-2. Spurs missed one of their big chances. Accurate passes, Liverpool 538, Spurs 245. Fouls committed, Spurs 9, Liverpool 7. Corners 6-2, Liverpool. Shots inside the box, Spurs 11, Liverpool 7. So I mean, when you look at the progressive, I guess you could say the progressive stats, it would paint a picture that Spurs were a little bit more ambitious. But that being said, at the end of the day, it's still a loss. By the way, Spurs also won the shots outside the box 4-1. XG from open play, Spurs 0.71 to Liverpool's 0.45. Total passes, Liverpool 606 to Spurs 318. Passes in the own half 174, 112. Liverpool passes to the opposition half 363 to 133. Accurate long balls, Liverpool 24, Spurs 17. Accurate crosses 5-4 Liverpool. Throws 27-14. Liverpool touches in the opposition box 30-20. And that is that pretty much sums it up as well, too. Not only did Liverpool spend the majority of the second half inside Spurs end, they also spent a good deal of it in the box as well, too. Credit to the Spurs because they did play decent defense at time. Yellow cards were 3-3, but 2 red cards for Spurs. And unfortunately against Crystal Palace, we're going to be without not only Xavi, but also Romero. So that's going to be a dagger. The defensive side of the ball, Spurs won the tackle battle 12-4. Liverpool wins the interception 7-6. Blocks 6-3. Liverpool clearances 33-23. Spurs keeper saves 4-2. Liverpool ends up winning the duel battle 35-32. Spurs did win ground duels 23-19. Aerial duels 16-9. Liverpool successful dribbles 7-4. So from that standpoint, on the one hand, sure, the attitude might have been better, but on the downside, Spurs absolutely came unglued, especially late in a key part of the game where you cannot afford to lose your captain. Romero just gets hot on the collar, just loses his composure, and all of a sudden gets sent off. And at that point, it was pretty much done and dusted. So where does Spurs go from here? Well, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to see a way forward. And now next week we have Crystal Palace. And by the way, they're going to lose at Selhurst Park. I hate to be the one to say it. Liverpool, Crystal Palace is the type of team that can absolutely beat you on their day. That is a well-coached team. And again, it's not a place where we've actually been successful in the last 5 years. Haven't won there since 2020. And the way that Crystal Palace set up, and they are really the ultimate counterattacking team. They get numbers forward. They're absolutely confident, and they can absolutely punish you. And this is the thing. It's like as we were talking about it there in the second half. As far as I'm concerned, I don't necessarily think that Thomas Frank has the respect of that entire locker room. I don't think he has got the buy-in. And ultimately, it's probably going to cost Thomas Frank his job. Now, is it going to cost him his job right away? Probably not. But that being said, man, this is a team in Spurs that just doesn't have confidence. That's the best way to say it. I know some people will say it's the players. Some people will say it's the coach. But, the interesting thing about this is we're having this issue with hustle, fight, determination, whatever the case may be. And that is a token of the fact that I don't think there's enough respect for Thomas Frank. And it manifests itself. Right? Confidence breeds winning, right? Winning breeds momentum. And right now we absolutely have none. We had a golden opportunity against Forest and we squandered it. We had a golden opportunity against Liverpool, squandered it. And now all of a sudden, it's like these results are going to add up to a point where it's going to be a toxic locker room, and this thing is not going to get better anytime soon because it's hard for a coach to get buy-in with these type of results. And eventually, what's going to end up happening is, they're going to tune them out. And then a change is going to have to get made, right? If we are the big club that we think we are, then we have to act like a big club because this is something that big clubs do not put up with. Relegation scraps, right? Big clubs do not put up with relegation scraps. The only reason why Ange was able to keep his job last year, number one, availability of coaches to come in and replace him, off the fact that we were dealing with an injury nightmare. And we still had the Europa League. But there is no excuses right here because we still have an opportunity to climb our way back in, and we still have the final two fixtures in the Champions League play. There's still a lot to play in, and we have the FA Cup. We still have a lot to play in. And one of the things that a big club does is they are not afraid to make that change. The last thing you want is your season to slip away. and it feels like this thing is slipping away. And I'll be the first one to say it. Thomas Frank has not won me over. As a matter of fact, he's done the complete opposite because we don't have an identity. We're something different from week to week to week. I think yesterday, Luke Samuels said it perfectly. He's too adaptable. And because of it, he reacts. He's not proactive. He's reactive. And because of it, this is the reason why we're where we're at. Speaking of where we're at, as we look at the table right now, we still sit on 22 points, which is good for 13th place. Bournemouth also is on 22 points. 2 points back in 15th is Fulham, and Nottingham Forest is at 18, and Leeds is at 16. Brentford is, I think Brentford won today, and so they moved to 23. Same with Newcastle. Everton and Brighton are at 24. United and Palace are at 26. Sunderland's on 27. And now Liverpool, with this win, moves up to 5th. And so, yeah, there is your top 5. And by the way, Manchester City, with a win today, have moved into 1st. They've overtaken Arsenal. So if we want a big club, if we want to be a big club, we have to make big boy moves. And that is something that is, you cannot at any cost put yourself in a position where you're going to have a relegation scrap. You just can't afford it. And here's the thing, Thomas Frank might be a nice guy, but that being said, he's not cut out for a big club in the Premier League. This isn't Brentford, and unfortunately, this is what happens when you come to a big club. So it is what it is. Spurs lose 2-1 and now put themselves even in a bigger hole because next week, by the way, and I'll just say this, next week, Brentford and Bournemouth scrap it out. Forest hosts City. Fulham takes on West Ham. Brighton takes on Arsenal, so I guess that's good. Everton takes on Burnley. So, yeah, Leeds, Sunderland. Yeah, okay. And then, so it's like there might be some reprieve next week. But if Spurs drop it next week, by the way, and Fulham or Bournemouth happen to win, and Forest wins, there's a good chance that we drop down to 16. So keep that in mind. That's going to do it for me, guys. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And before I go, I just want to say, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons and also hit your notification bell. By the way, I'm thinking about doing a retro U.S. men's national team live stream tonight. I'm thinking about doing World Cup, first match of the World Cup 2022, U.S. versus Portugal. I'm thinking about doing it, guys. So you guys will know. I will make a post. I will let you guys know on YouTube. I will post something, and I will let you know if that is going on. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe bell so you don't miss out on that. I'm most likely going to do it tonight because I just want to do something fun. So you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, guys. Bye.